To kick off tonight's town hall, why don't we begin by talking about bipartisanship? On these town halls, we often hear from Utahns who, like many Americans, are frustrated with Congress, and they see that Washington is often just a place where gridlock happens and people aren't working together to get things done. In your opinion, Senator, are there things in Washington that the two parties can work on together? Do you see opportunities for bipartisanship in this Congress?
Yes, absolutely. And look, the areas of disagreement between our two political parties are well known. There are some areas in which the disagreement is sufficiently well entrenched that it becomes well known among the public that there's not necessarily going to be a lot of overlap. There are a lot of other areas where there is a lot of room for agreement. Those usually don't grab the headlines. Those usually don't lead in the evening news. But they are important, and they do hold a lot of hope for a lot of people who would like to see more bipartisanship and more cooperation in Congress. I'd like to tell you about a few of those. One of them that I'm working on is called the Smarter Sentencing Act. I'm the author of that bill, the lead sponsor. My lead co-sponsor is Dick Durbin, a Democratic senator from Illinois. Among our other co-sponsors are other liberal Democrats like Pat Leahy of Vermont, like Cory Booker of New Jersey, for example. You know, it was interesting. Just a week before last, I was invited over to the White House by President Obama. Sat right next to Vice President Biden, across the table from President Obama. He thanked me and others who are working on this bill for our efforts in this area. This is a common sense bipartisan solution to a long-standing problem, a problem that has evolved over the course of many decades, a problem that has resulted in a nearly tenfold increase in the federal prison population since 1980. What we have put together in this bill is a set of reforms that would give federal judges a little bit more discretion when sentencing nonviolent drug offenders in certain contexts under federal law. President Obama expressed support for this bill in this meeting, and I was happy to be there, along with many of my liberal Democratic friends and along with a few conservative allies, like Rand Paul, a senator from Kentucky. He is also a supporter of this legislation. I'm also working on another bill called the Electronic Communications Privacy Amendments Act. This is a bill that I'm working on with Pat Leahy from Vermont. Again, a liberal Democrat who's the ranking Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee on which I serve. This is a bill that deals with a little-known defect in a law passed by Congress in 1986. And this law purports to authorize the government to read your email as long as your email is at least 180 days old, and to do so without a search warrant. Now, this is wrong. The federal government shouldn't have the right to read your email without a search warrant any more than it has the right to read your mail or the contents of your file folder at your home without a search warrant. This is bringing the law back into conformity with the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and this is yet another one of those issues that's neither liberal nor conservative, that's neither Republican nor Democratic. It's simply an American issue. I also introduced last week a bill called the Inspector General Access Act. My lead co-sponsor on that bill is Jon Tester, a Democratic senator from Montana. This is a bill that brings about some much needed reforms with the Office of Inspector General within the U.S. Department of Justice. This would bring about greater accountability and would result in a much better, fairer process as we seek to achieve oversight within the U.S. Department of Justice. I've also run for the last several years in a row a bill called the Due Process Guarantee Act with my lead co-sponsor, Dianne Feinstein, a Democratic senator from California. This bill would make clear that the federal government can't indefinitely detain an American citizen apprehended on U.S. soil, regardless of the charges. Now, these things are, of course, implicit in and the inexorable command of the various provisions of the U.S. Constitution, including the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments. Nonetheless, there are provisions in existing law, including one provision of the National Defense Authorization Act, passed about 3 years ago that purport to undermine these constitutional protections. And that's why I came together with Senator Dianne Feinstein to try to correct that problem. So yes, Matt, there is a lot of room for bipartisanship, and bipartisanship is alive and well in my legislative agenda. It plays a very important role in what I'm trying to do here in the Senate.